Well, the region's Kurdish communities also celebrate the Persian New Year, Nowruz. This year, for the first time, it's being celebrated as an official national holiday in Syria. That's after the new government, led by Ahmed al-Shara, granted broader rights to Kurdish citizens in January. It came in the run up to a ceasefire deal that saw the Kurds give up parts of their territory in the north and agreed to integrate into the national army and the government. Well, for a check-in on where things stand, we can speak to Sardar Aziz, a researcher, columnist, and former senior advisor at the Kurdistan Regional Parliament in Iraq. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and Happy New Year.
Very much, and Happy New Year to you.
How significant is it that Nowruz is being celebrated as an official holiday this year in Syria?
Yeah, it's quite significant. And Nowruz is not only Persian holiday, it's celebrated by many nations in the Middle East. And for Syria, for first time, it shows that the Syrian people could practice their feast, their holiday, their history. And also, Nowruz for Kurd has a particular meaning because it's always associated with a struggle. And the myth itself, it is a kind of blacksmith overcomes a tyrant and kills the tyrant eventually. So this symbol has been reintegrated into Kurdish struggle, and with the modern nationalism, it became symbol of gaining right and overcoming the challenges. And this year in Syria, the Syrian Kurds can celebrate. That means that they have their own identity and they are being recognized. However, still a lot of challenges there, but the celebration means that there's no denial anymore as it was in the past. As we know, in past, they were not even granted the right to have a passport or a right to ownership or a simple daily or basic life. So now this has a quite significant meaning, among them recognition, celebration, and also being a Kurd within Syria, which also should symbolize and take kind of becoming a path for a multicultural, multi-central, and decentralized, hopefully, Syria in future.
Yeah, it could be a new start for Syria's Kurds and all of Syria. It's been just over 2 months since that ceasefire was agreed between the Syrian government and Kurdish forces. That was after a major offensive that saw the government seize huge swathes of territory that was held by the Kurds in the north. Can you walk us through what's been happening since then?
So far, the ceasefire is holding, and right now, Syria is not in the kind of center of attention as it was 2 months ago because of other major events in the region. But the integration is going slow. As I heard from the ground, that still the prisoner swap between the two sides is a big issue. There are a lot of bodies of the martyr, of people who are killed, still needs to be exchanged. And also, I think the return of people to Afrin has been halted so far. There has been only one group went back, but that has stopped for various reasons. Then I think also the Kobani is still not fully solved. There is kind of mix of checkpoints between the two sides. This is not going also as it should be, or as fast as it should be. And I think there is still issue about the female fighters, what will happen to them. We know the current Syrian government is torn between two directions. One direction want to integration into international community, and the other direction is pushing toward a very isolated Islamic religion, as we saw with the decree against alcohol that a number of days ago. So this means that there is still not clear path in Damascus what kind of policy. And we see the Ahmed Shara, the way he deals with institution, with parliament, with budgetary and things like that. I think it shows that still they are at the beginning, and they need to know budgetary is not decided by the government, by the president. That has to be decided by the parliament. So all these issues shows that a lot of things need to be learned for the government. And then I think integrating women into the Syrian army is a challenge for Syrian army and its ethos. In the Middle East, the civil-military relationship, the relationship between army and the state has been always problematic. It's a region ridden with coups and distrust between the two sides. So this is a crucial issue. I think the Kurds would like to see their female fighter within the army and stay in the army, but I think the Peshmerga fighter, they're kind of pressurized to be more police rather than soldier. And also there is a kind of disagreement on the number of the fighter within the brigade. And there is a hope that with the appointment of Sipan Hamou as a deputy Minister of Defense for North Euphrates issues, that might speed up the process. But he has been just appointed the last few days, and these days it's holidays. So people are on the ground still hopeful, but they see challenges also.
A Kurdish guest that I spoke to back in January was extremely negative about Ahmed al-Shara. He clearly didn't trust him at all. I'm curious if you think that's sort of the prevailing sentiment among Kurds, and if so, how can this integration really work long term?
You see, there's a bad history, there's a bad blood between the two sides, and the current Syrian president, he might be changing different in many ways than the previous presidents, but the path they take, they want to appease outside and be strict on the inside. That's not the way to build a state. I think the state has to be built for the people of Syria, not to appease the neighbor or international community or a regional power. So these power, whether it's a regional power like Turkey or international power like United States, they have too much influence in the region, and they shape the country or the state according to their own interest. And in many cases, that affects the interest of certain minority or many minority, or in many cases, the majority of the population of the country. So Ahmed Shara, I think we all know, it's no secret what kind of past he has. So he has to work on that and gain trust, and people gain trust through act, not through talks. So he has to do things. I think when he came under pressure from United States, he took these steps with granting certain right and recognizing, and now that process of integration. But also in the history will tell us there has been a period of good period, and then with the change of the circumstances, things will change dramatically, so that people, I think, needs time to overcome and needs to see themselves. Wait and see, probably people will take.
Towards the start of the conflict in Iran, there was a question of Kurds maybe joining the US-Israeli offensive to help topple the regime. Donald Trump has since ruled it out, and we haven't really spoken much about it since. But I just want to briefly ask you, do you think that remains a possibility?
That was a rumor, and media worked on it a lot, and the Kurdish opposition in Iran got under pressure. And also a lot of attacks, but there was nothing tangible or concrete on the ground. There has been communication, but as far as I know, the Kurd has not been asked to take that role. We know there is a certain of ambiguity or no clarity what the United States strategy in this war. As we know, their strategy, I think it's very short term. They take step and see how does it happen, and that if that works, then they take next step. If not work, they might change the policy. So in that way, I think also people feel that it is hard to get guarantee or kind of real promise from this administration, because it is changing very fast. And the memory of the treatment of the Kurds in Syria, and the way Ambassador Tom Barak tweeted, and the language he used against the Kurdish fighter who lost 11,000 lie fighting ISIS and immediately dismissed. So this is all needs to be worked on in order for Kurd, if they want to work with United States, or United States want to work with the Kurd. I think this situation is quite different, so it needs more time building and more working. But so far, I think that story has kind of died down, and then we don't hear much. But it caused the pressure on the Kurd, and we know Kurd in Iran, their number is bigger, their territory is bigger. They are not like Kurd in Syria. They are 7, if not 10 times bigger, and they're more organized, and they have a struggle. History of a struggle in the region dates back to the mid-40s. So it's quite different than the Kurds in Syria. In that regard, it will be a different type of relationship if it happens.
All right, Sardar Aziz, thank you again so much for bringing us your insight this morning. That's Sardar Aziz, a researcher, columnist, and former senior advisor at the Kurdistan Regional Parliament in Iraq.